Shabbat Shalom, welcome to the Temple Aaron of Trinidad's Shabbat Learning Zoom. Thank you all for being here. It's really beautiful to see everybody. More folks will probably jump in. Here they come. Um, Rabbi Joe, thank you for doing this. I'm AC Cutler. I live here in Trinidad. I'm on the board of the temple, and we got a lot of great things happening. If you're through Trinidad, come reach out to me, come visit us. Sometimes we have things in person as well. The temple's getting some renovation, and let the world know about us. Come check out our website. We have lots of events happening every month. Seeking Sacred Understanding, which Rabbi Joe often leads, features some really amazing guests. And we try and do one or two of those each month. So yeah, come continue to be a part of the community or let folks know about us. Thank you. All right, take it away, JC.
Thank you. I'm Jack and he's Ack, so we are Ack Jack, and we will start a movement. And we've got PC here, so Patricia, you can be Ack Jack Pack. Do we have any other endings in C's? No, but if we reverse Carla, we can do Knack NC, right? Well, I'll maybe I should stop with the humor. We're gonna lose you all, but it's great to see everybody here, and we're continuing with I think we're probably in the fourth or fifth month of studying the sacred months of the Jewish calendar. And what's interesting, what I always try to at least keep my thoughts on when I focus on sacred time, and specifically the months, is that in Judaism, the months are not simply markers of the year. They don't simply mark off the year in 12 or sometimes 13 divisions. And the names themselves also have insight for us. So names in English, when we have January or February or March, there's not really anything there for us to guide us in life. But in Judaism, the names always signify something much deeper and of much more relevance for our lives. It's not just the time that we spend, but how we can deepen our time on this plane. And most of the months in the Hebrew Bible are not given names. All the names that we have, as we've been going through them, I think we started in Tishrei. So with Tishrei, or now last month we were in Nisan, this month we're in Iyar. Most of these months in the Jewish calendar are not given names in the Bible. They're given numbers: the first month, the second month, the third month. 4 of the 12 do have names. 4 of the 12 months do have names. So last month, for example, it was the month biblically of Aviv. That's our first biblical month. And that has to do with spring or renewal. What also happens, however, in Judaism is the rabbis give them names. And those names are always significant because there's an insight for life. So last month, as I'm sure we mentioned, the month is called Nisan. Most of these names came from our Aramaic, from the Aramaic when we were in Babylonia. That's at least one opinion. And Nisan, the rabbis relate it to the word for nes, which is miracle. So our first month, where we begin our sacred walk through life, it's called Nisan because it's related to the word for nes, which is miracle, and it's trying to tell us theologically, soulfully, and philosophically that life is, from the beginning, miraculous. And if we lived with that awareness of the miraculous nature of life and of existence, life would be different. It's a wonderful vision to walk through life with, even when life isn't overtly manifesting glory or the miraculous. It's telling us that on some deep, profound level, the miracle is always available to us. And if we know that there is something miraculous grounding us in life, then we're going to live life with more purpose, with more light, with more wisdom, with more hope, with more service, because life is a gift, and that's what guides us in life. So that's months also, in addition to having names that are relevant, they have a number of other characteristics that we've gone through. Months, in addition to having a name, they also have a tribe associated with them. They have a flag, and that flag has an emblem and a color. And all of those, again, offer us significant insights symbolically for life. Every month, again, has, I'm just repeating just to get us back into the flow of the wisdom of our time, the wisdom of the month, not just the name. Months also have a letter, strangely enough, a letter that is associated with them, because in Judaism, letters have meaning, deep meaning. Months also, each month has a personal trait or characteristic that we are to develop. So you can sort of get a sense that time has a much broader in Judaism, time is not simply something we enjoy. It's also there to deepen us, to ground us, to allow us to blossom and develop into something more beautiful. So we'll go through a few more of the characteristics that all months have as we begin our sacred study this month, which is the month of Iyar. Now, Iyar is, biblically speaking, it's the second month. The first month was Nisan. That was last month. But the rabbis have another way of counting. We have several new years in Judaism, and the one of the other rabbinic New Years is Tishrei. That's when we have Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur and Sukkot, the festival of booths. So this is either the second month biblically or it's the 8th month. And those are significant numbers, especially 8. 8 has the idea of 7 is the natural world. It's whole, it's complete, like the Sabbath, the 7 days, there's completion there. But 8 signifies something beyond. So as far as the 8th month, it's telling us, last month we were in the month of the miraculous. That was our grounding, that was our foundation. Now we're in the second month, and what often happens in life when we encounter something beautiful or renewing or miraculous, over time it fades. The newness, the novelty, the beauty, we become accustomed to it, and that glory, that light fades. What this is telling us by being the second month, but also the 8th month, it's saying that there is still something, transcendence, beauty, light continues, but it's up to us. It's up to us to continually renew that miraculous vision or that hopeful vision or that beauty, that vision of beauty, that vision of service, that vision of hope. It's the 8th because it's telling us, yes, we're in the second month and nothing is really, it doesn't seem to be new again. It's not our first. But even in our second and our third, as we continue, there is something still available that is on the level of 8, which is beyond. We always have access to something beyond, to something deeper, to that holy mystery that many faith traditions speak of. So the name itself, biblically, does anybody have a Bible here? Or I can just do it in the book of Numbers, chapter 1. Here is where we get the name, fascinating name of the month of this month that we're in. And it starts off in verse 1 that the Lord spoke to Moses in the wilderness of Sinai, in the tent of meeting, on the first of the second month, in the second year after the Exodus from the land of Egypt. And he said, then it goes on to verse 2. So it's just the second month. That's where we get the name, the second month. Biblically, however, does anybody have a Bible with them available? Okay, Patricia, you want to read from 1 Kings chapter 6, verse 1.
Give
It
me a
also says
second.
it. Sorry?
So, give
Okay,
me a second to get there. First
sure.
Kings, where?
Chapter 6, verse 1. Chapter 6, verse 1. This is where Solomon is going to be building the temple, King Solomon.
Okay,
And
King
so
James
we've got
Version.
the Torah name, and that's just the second month. But here we have a biblical name, one of the 4 months that actually has a biblical name. Let's see how they say it in the King James.
And it came to pass in the 480th year after the children of Israel were come out of the land of Egypt, in the 4th year of Solomon's reign over Israel, in the month Ziph, which is the second month, that he began to build the house of the Lord.
Perfect. So Ziv in Hebrew, Ziv in English. Okay, so it also calls it the second month. So we've got both. But it's fascinating, it's noteworthy. Take note of the name, because if something, this is at least rabbinically how we approach the text, when something is not following the normal pattern, take note, because it's there to instruct us in something greater than had it only said the second month. It gives it the name Ziv, Zayin Vav. Well, Ziv means radiance, something shining, bright. So radiance. So our first month was, at least in the rabbinic model, it was the month of the miraculous. Now we come to the month of radiance, and that's what it's called, B'chodesh Ziv, or Yerach Ziv a few verses later in verse 37. But it's the month of radiance. That name is not just describing the time period that we are in. The rabbis speak of the radiance of the flowers blossoming. Well, that is radiance, that is beauty, but they're always also speaking to us in our walk through life, in our relationships, whether it's with ourselves, with our family, our partners, or our community. This month, after we've gone from the miraculous, where our root is in the miraculous, Nisan, again from Nes. Now, where are we headed? What are we bringing? What is our path? And what is our practice? This month, our focus is radiance. That's the biblical name. And so the question that we often have to ask ourselves is, how am I bringing radiance, light, hope, beauty into life? This is the month for that. And it's not as if next month we don't. It's just we focus on different aspects of our being each month, all 12 months or 13 months if it's a leap year. And we develop and cultivate traits that will bring more beauty to the world. So this month, the second month, first idea that we remember from Nisan is life is miraculous. There is something just grand about being. Just to be is holy, as Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel once said. Just to be is holy. There is something miraculous about life. Wherever you are on the sacred spectrum, if you believe in divine causation, the hand of God bringing everything into existence, that's a miracle. Something from nothing. If you believe just if you're more in the natural world, a more scientifically grounded world, that you believe somehow this expansive universe, simply, however infinite it is, the multiverse, the universe, that life happened here, everybody agrees is miraculous. The number of causes and effects that had to have taken place to produce life, that's why it's so rare. We don't know of any other region in the universe that has life. It was a miracle, even if it wasn't by the hand of the divine. So just to be is a blessing. And now there's a miracle. It's a miracle. And this month, our goal is to focus on radiance. So take time in life this month, in your days, in your nights, to ask yourself, have I lost that vision of radiance? Am I bringing more light to the world, to my world within and to the world around me? This is a month to cultivate radiance, and our world needs it. Our world needs it. And again, I didn't look if there's any chats or if any comments. This is always, this isn't really a how-to. This isn't a how to walk through, but I'm happy if anybody wants to walk through ways. I'm happy to do less of our study and more focus on our beings, on our person. But that we tend to do more in person, where we can have that dialogue directly with each other. But the month, again, biblically in the Torah, the book of Numbers, it's the second month. But then we find this unique name of the month of radiance. And it uses two different words for month, actually, in chapter 6 of Kings, of 1 Kings chapter 6. It uses Chodesh and Yerach. So there are different aspects of radiance that this month is trying to call us into. The word Iyar, it's spelled Aleph Yud Resh or Aleph Yud Yud Resh, like A-Y-Y-R or A-Y-R. It's interesting. It's one of the only month actually that has two spellings. Was it one Yud, one Y, or two Ys? So, but if you spell it Aleph Yud Resh, either way that you spell it, but more specifically Aleph Yud Resh, A-Y-R, now that word that we just spoke of as Ziv, as radiance, now Aleph Yud Resh is related to the word for light in Hebrew, or the Yud and the Vav are interchangeable. Sometimes one becomes the other in Hebrew. So the biblical name actually is radiance, but the rabbis find in the Aramaic name, the rabbinic name, Iyar, the meaning also of light. So this is a month of light, of seeking light, of bringing more light. And I'm sorry, I saw a hand, AC, yeah.
Well, we can come back to this, but I think a lot about the 3-day journey, and that this is like day 2 between Pesach
Yeah,
and Shavuos.
right.
Month 2, it's the complete month of being in transition.
Yeah.
So I just want to put that out there. There's something there.
Yeah. So what AC is talking about is, and we're going to get to that more, but it's a good intro. It's a good intro. From Passover to Pentecost in English or in Greek. The original name of it was Pentecost in Greek by the Jews. 50 days after Passover, there is Pentecost, or what we call Shavuot. This month now is the month in between Passover, which was in Nisan, and Pentecost, Shavuot, which is in Sivan. So we're in the middle. We're in the second month. We're in this stage in between. And we got out of Egypt. We got out of the darkness. And we're coming to receive the wisdom of Pentecost. For Jews, it's the receiving of the Torah, the Ten Commandments on Mount Sinai, and for Christians, it's what we find in Acts 2, Acts chapter 2. It's another type of revelation, a different paradigm, but it's the same idea. Revelation is taking place. So there's this period between exile and revelation that we are in right now. And you're going to see a ritual in a few moments that we do to ultimately rekindle that light that within that was lost. And that's what this journey is. We're in between right now, rekindling, recovering the holy light that we all seek, but that we also often lose in life. So one more thing about the name. The name Iyar has a few, rabbis bring out a few more insights into it. Let me see the time here. Wonderful. Aleph Yud Resh, or Aleph Yud, A-Y-R or A-Y-Y-R. The rabbis relate it to a passage in Exodus, at the end of the Exodus, at the end of the song in Exodus 15, where it speaks of, I am the Lord your healer. Ani Adonai Reifecha. That's Aleph Yud Resh. So this month also has the idea within it of healing. And there is a healer. And if your outlook on life doesn't include a transcendent being that somehow involves himself intimately in our lives, well, then the I becomes you. I am your healer. We are here to bring healing. And again, it's not like we don't do it next month. Next month we wound everybody because this is the month of healing, and next month we wound. We take all of these with us along the way. We're filling our basket. Last month we took with us miracles. This month it's miracles and healing. It's miracles and radiance. We're bringing more to the table. So it's the acronym, or if we want to use Aleph, A-Y-Y-R, it could be Abraham, Yitzchak, Isaac, Jacob, Yaakov, that's A-Y-Y, and then Rachel, Rachel. So either spelling, they're relating it either to I am the Lord your healer, or to Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Rachel, which in Hebrew, the month of Iyar is an acronym for those. And why those names are chosen in Kabbalah, those Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Rachel are very significant in Jewish mysticism, which maybe one time we'll do a little series on that, but on the Merkava, this grand mystical chariot. So this is a rich month. It's a rich month. The next, I think I'll go next with, we've got the name and we've got some symbolism behind the names and the meanings as guides for life this month. I also said months in the Jewish calendar. In addition to having a name, like every month in every calendar, months in the Hebrew calendar also have a numerical value. They have a number associated with them, sometimes several numbers, which is very strange because what is the role of a number as a guide for life, sacred life, relational life? So here's where a little Hebrew comes in, Hebrew knowledge. Every Hebrew word is also a Hebrew number, because in Hebrew, we don't have Aleph or the A and a 1 and a B and a 2. We have one form for each. The Aleph, the A is number 1, but it's also the letter A. So this month, Iyar, is numerically 221. You say, okay, lovely. What's 221? Well, 221 is a number, but it's also a word. And the word, well, it's two words, it's many words, but two of the words that I'll highlight. 221 as a number can be written also as erech, which is a Hebrew word for like long, to be long. And the context, the most famous context is erech apayim, which is in Exodus 34, describing the characteristics or the traits of God. He is merciful, right? The Lord is merciful. He's long-suffering. That's erech apayim. So 221, the number, represents that long-suffering, slow to anger. This month, and every month, but we develop it, we focus in this month to cultivate that trait, that practice of being slow to anger, of being long, literally in the nose. Because why the nose? Because when someone gets angry, their face, it shortens. You crunch your nose, it shrinks. So we want to be long in the nose, or long in the noses. So the question then for us always is, what can I do? What practice can I take on to help lengthen my tolerance, my patience, so that anger isn't a first or a second or a third response this month? And that connects deeply with radiance and light. Because if we're living from a place of light, if we're coming from radiance, okay, if we're coming from a place of healing, I am the Lord your healer, Exodus 15:26, those meditations fit very well with long suffering, being slow to anger. And it's a wonderful, wonderful practice to develop, because we all know the role of anger in life. It kills life, it kills relationships, it kills the soul. Solomon in Proverbs spoke of envy rotting the bones. Envy is the rot of the bones. Anger, I think, rots the soul. And I'm not saying there aren't areas in life that we can't have righteous indignation over. There are things that happen in life that are simply wrong, and we can have anger over that. This is talking about, are you angry? Is your response anger? Are you short in anger? The language here is erech apayim, lengthened. It takes more. It takes more to draw me into that place of anger. And even if I am angry at a person, at a particular event in life, or over a policy that's governmental, we all find areas that are worthy of being angry over because they're unjust. The question is that making us into a person of anger? And if that's the case, you've lost your way. Anger is not the way. Anger is not the way. The other word that 221 spells out is arucha, and it's something some people in their prayers say every day. The prayers in Judaism in the traditional world, sometimes they're all basically the same, but different communities have a few different types of wording. Not everybody has this word arucha in their Shmona Esrei, in the prayer, but some do. And there, that word arucha, again numerically 221. It also means healing or cure. And that's, again, a meditation for us this month and every month, but this month to ground ourselves, to root ourselves into, so that we can blossom with the presence of arucha, of healing, or of trying to bring cure and reconciliation, a cure to the condition, to the relational condition, to the emotional condition. Spell it? Oh, let's see. In Hebrew or in English? In English, it's Arucha. I guess it's in the 8th blessing of some of the Shmona Esrei, if you want to look up that prayer. Not in I don't think it's in Ashkenaz. I don't. That's not my tradition. The Ashkenaz. I don't daven straight Ashkenaz. But Arucha, Aleph, Reish. Arucha. There you go. Vav, Chaf, and Hey. So Reish, Aleph is 1, Reish is 200. And no, the Ru would be a Shuruk, not a Vav. So it's Aleph, Reish, Chaf, Hey. That's 200, and does that come out to 221? Arucha. Maybe they don't put the Hey at the end. Arucha. Just 200, Reish, Chaf, Aleph. Yeah, Arucha. It's something that we need to bring more of in life. We need more healing. We need less anger. We need more radiance. Let's go back to Numbers 1 for a moment, because we've got now some ideas of the names and its meanings and its numerical value. But in Numbers chapter 1, verse 1, it says, the Lord spoke to Moses in the wilderness of Sinai from the tent of meeting in the first of the second month of the second year after they went out from Egypt, saying, and it says, in English, it's usually translated as take a census, but it's literally, Se'u es Reish kol adas b'nei Israel, lift up the head of everyone in the community or the assembly of the children of Israel, according to their family heads. So it's taking a census. Okay, it's a counting. There are several census takings in the Bible. And so the idea here, that's the immediate context, a census. You're taking a count of the people. But for us, in our more poetic walk through the text, what is a census? You're taking account. The rabbis speak of, you count things that are of value to you. You take an accounting because it's something important. You make an accounting in life, in like Musar thought, which is a cheshbon. You make an accounting. You make an accounting. You're taking inventory. But the idea here is that, I think, we count things that are of value. And in this month, we're taking a census. And that reminds us that every person in our community counts. Are we including people in our community? Do you count in my community? Or are you different and therefore you don't count and you can't be part of my assembly? You can't be part of the Kol Adas B'nai Yisrael. You can't be part of the assembly of the children of Israel or of the family of humanity. You don't count because you are or you're not. I think that, again, that's not the immediate context of the verse, but in this month, making the rituals and the of this month important in our lives in a way that will actually transform life. This is a month of taking census. Take a census. Count everybody, in other words, because that's the language. Se'u es reish kol adas b'nei Yisrael. L'mishpachaisam, l'beis avaisam. Take an accounting, take a census of everyone in your assembly, the entire assembly, your entire group. I'm saying the group is humanity. We all count. We're all together. We're a community of human beings. And stop looking at someone as X, Y, and Z. Look at them as human. They vote wrong, lovely. They have a human heart. They eat wrong. I'm a vegan. My wife is a meat eater. I don't look, or meat eaters versus vegans. We don't look at vegans. My community are a bunch of annoying people. I don't hang out with them because they judge people. Here's the old joke. Well, I just proved it. How do you know if someone's a vegan? Because they tell you. I'm not that kind of vegan. I am telling you that I tell vegans to look at other human beings as human. Don't look at them through the prism of their food. Don't look at someone through the prism of if they voted with an R or a D or a G or you pick your other letters. Look at them as human. Try to bring radiance to that. Try to bring healing. We are humans. And if we would take a census, if we would take a deep look within and allow ourselves to see that, hey, you know what? I'm a human being, and I can make place in my community for another human being, because that's our grounding. If I can look at another person with the grace of humanity, this world will be different. You might vote for Trump, you might vote for Kamala, you might vote for Biden, you might vote for, I guess that was Trump too, uh, Hillary. You might vote for Obama, you might vote for Bush, you might vote for Stein. Isn't that the Green Party's rep? Uh, it was Stein, right? At least it was. Or you pick your person. Clinton, we've got them all. They're all a bunch of clowns. What I care about is that I can sit across from you. Jews being the chosen are somewhat at odds. That's a great question, Raymond. Thank you. Let's talk about that. That's brilliant. Thank you. Uh, the idea, just to finish with the how we look at others, look at another through the prism of humanity. And you're right, Sarah, that is radiance. And that would bring radiance, that would bring healing. Now we become the healers because we see each other as human beings with hearts who need compassion and respect and honor, not agreement. And I don't usually, AC knows this. I told them up front, if I'm ever going to do things with your community, before I became the rabbi of this wonderful shul, synagogue, actually, I don't know if I said it to you. I said it to Sherry and Neil. I don't do politics. We can talk privately, but from the pulpit, I care about your heart and your mind and your soul, and I'm grateful for your presence, period. I may be wrong on issues X, Y, and Z, but we can still love each other and serve together and worship together and be better because of each other. Our humanity is what is required of our vision. My vision is you count. That's why I want us all to take a census, to take a look within, a cheshbon, to look within and ask yourself, does my heart allow for others, the other, to dwell? Does the one or two letters of Yud refer also to the Yetzer? Not in the spelling or not in the light or the I am your healer, AC, not in that. I am your healer or Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Rachel. It doesn't have the Yetzer there, although that's I'm sure we could spin something very beautiful out of that. I'll leave that for you to do. You can maybe leave us with a thought on the Yetzers, on our inclinations, because we have two inclinations in the Jewish model of humanity. We have an inclination, a Yetzer, a formation towards light and goodness, and an inclination towards the darkness and chaos and evil. And we have to strengthen the good and tame the darker side. As far as your question, Raymond, your comment about being chosen, seeming to, it does, it sounds exclusive. How can we be a community if we're the chosen ones? That means everyone else isn't. Am I understanding it right? Okay. That's a great question. And what I would say, I'm not here to defend Judaism. I'm not what they call an apologist. If I see something or I feel something is troubling, I may misunderstand it, but I'll say I struggle with this. The understanding that is, I think, superimposed on to Judaism about chosenness is false. And the way you described chosenness, Raymond, is a common, although I feel gross misunderstanding of what chosenness meant in Judaism. And I will say, however, my background is more in the traditional world, in the Orthodox world. I have seen what your comment reflected in the Orthodox world. I have seen that. But it is at odds with a lot of rabbinic thought, traditional rabbinic thought. We don't see chosenness in Judaism as being better in the sense of we are in an exclusive club and nobody else can join because people are allowed. You can convert. But Judaism says you don't have to convert. We don't have the great commission of Matthew 28 to go and make disciples of all nations because Judaism understands foundationally that you as a human being have your own relationship with the divine, and you don't have to be a Jew to be in right relationship, so to speak, with God. If your path, all the righteous have a share in the world to come, the rabbis teach. The chosenness that I think is a better understanding of that word in Jewish thought is we are chosen for. We are chosen to. Our calling is, and as Isaiah says in Isaiah 42:6 and Isaiah 49:6, to be a light unto the nations, to be a light unto each other. Not because our light is better, but because we all need lights along the way to guide us. We need instruction and holy light to guide us, and we receive that from the others, and we have light also to provide. So the chosenness is not a chosenness in the sense of we are special. It is chosen for a particular calling. We are chosen to follow this path. And if you don't like the word chosen, I would say called. We are called to follow a particular path, a way in life of bringing goodness and light and community and healing and justice and mercy to the world. So that's how I see that. And the rabbis teach also, by the way, one of the rabbis, without going into the passage because it's going to take time to explain the passage, but the rabbis have a few main principles that they derive from the Torah. And one of them is to love your neighbor as yourself, because you are your neighbor. There's another verse in Genesis 5:1 that some rabbis think teaches even more deeply what Leviticus 19:18 teaches, that to love your neighbor as yourself. But the idea is, how can the rabbis teach and how can Torah teach that we are to love one another if we are better than the other? The reason we love the other is because we are ultimately grounded in that same root, that divine root or that human root. So our obligation is to love and to serve. Our callings, our chosenness is not the same path. Gentiles may not wear this. They may not wear the fringes. They may not keep the Sabbath in the way that we do. That's our chosen path. But the chosenness is not a distinctiveness that implies better, even though some, unfortunately, have taken that as its message. But that's not I don't think that's what it ultimately teaches in Jewish thought. That is a false construct that has been superimposed by people who weren't particularly friendly. And actually in 2 Peter, in the New Testament, it speaks of, and I don't interpret it this way, but I've been in dialogues or debates with Christians who haven't been particularly friendly with Jews. And when they talk about the chosenness, you think you're a chosen race, and that's not what Christianity teaches. We're all one, and this is why this is a better faith practice or a better faith tradition. I said, well, then you might not want to read 2 Peter chapter 2, because there it speaks literally in the Greek of being a chosen race. Now, I don't read it literally that way, but it did. I only said that to the person because they were condemning Judaism for being, quote, chosen. And we all feel we're chosen. There's nothing wrong with being chosen. We're all uniquely special, and we each have a unique path that we're called to follow. So I hope that answered something. If you have any other thoughts, please feel free. But it's a chosenness for, not a chosenness because. And in fact, in Deuteronomy, it specifically says, God says, I didn't choose you because you were better or more numerous. I specifically didn't choose you for that. So it's always strange to me when people impose that on us. We are chosen because we have a practice, a calling, a derech, a way, of serving, of living, but not because it's better. All right. Anybody else before I move on to the next? We have something else. We talked about having a census during this time to remind us to include everybody, the entire community of humanity. This month also has something called Pesach Sheni. During Passover, some Jews, because of a ritual impurity, weren't able to participate in the service and be in the temple. Historically, it was grounded in bringing up the bones of Joseph. So when you are in contact with death, there's an impurity and you have to go through a ritual purifying practice. So they couldn't they couldn't participate. So what do? They lost the opportunity to participate in the Passover, and in our day, the Passover Seder. What do we say about that? They lost the opportunity to experience redemption, in a sense. So what the Bible does, the Bible, it offers us what's called Pesach Sheni. It's a second Pesach, a month later, in this month on the 14th. And what that tells us, again, historically great, they got another opportunity to encounter redemption, to encounter Pesach in all of its beautiful symbolism. What that says for us today, and again, I'm describing it, I'm not walking us through it, but what that says for us today is we missed an opportunity in life. I could have redeemed something. I could have come out of Egypt, metaphoric Egypt. I could have brought redemption to a relationship. I could have brought something beautiful and holy to the world, and I didn't. I missed it. I was unable to do so, or I failed. Is that the end? No. You get a second opportunity. And it doesn't literally mean one, poetically speaking. It's telling us when it comes to Passover, when it comes to redemption, when it comes to healing, you might have blown it that first time. You might have missed an opportunity. You may not have succeeded. But you know what? Pesach Sheni is now not just another opportunity on the 14th of Iyar this month instead of the 14th of Nisan. It's telling us we always have another opportunity to bring redemption. And I can't think of a better vision that would bring healing to life, that would bring radiance to life, than to say, I screwed up. I failed. I didn't redeem and bring light to this place, to this relationship. But I got another chance. It's a life that has second chances. That's what I think this is teaching us this month, and it's the second month. We're all feeling wonderful when we have that first month. Beginnings are wonderful. But what about when things don't renew? What about when life happens? Well, we have another opportunity to redeem. We have eternal Pesach Sheni. We have an eternal chance for a second opportunity to redeem. I think that is such a healing practice and celebration. Things might not be going well, but redemption is always available. And I can be the Redeemer this time. I can bring redemption. Speaking of bringing redemption, during this time period, AC brought it up. We're in between Passover and Pentecost, Passover and Shavuot, Passover and the giving of the Torah, the Ten Commandments, in Sivan next month. During the period between Passover and Shavuot weeks, or Pentecost. Pentecost is just the Greek for 50, because it's 50 days after Passover. During this time period, biblically speaking, it's in Leviticus 23. like verses 9, I think, through 15, maybe. It speaks of, in fact, does anybody else have a Bible? Let's see how we're doing. Anybody have a Bible? If not, I'll read it. I'll read parts of it at least. After Passover, in verse 4, it describes verse 4 through 8. It discusses the Passover and how we're supposed to eat unleavened bread and not have anything leavened in our house, and we're not to work. But then in verse 9, it says, the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the children of Israel and say to them that when you enter the land that I give you and you reap its harvest, you shall bring an omer from your first harvest to the priest, to the Cohen. So you're bringing a measured offering. An omer is an offering. It's a grain offering. It's a measured offering. Keep that word in mind. And you do a little waving with it. I'm just summarizing the verses and how much of it contains. But then in verse 15, it says, you shall count for yourself. Usfartem, lochem. Count, listen to that language. Count for yourselves. Why not just count? Okay? It's, in Hebrew we say, usfartem, lochem. That's the language. Count for yourselves. Make something count here for you. It's not a numerical counting alone. It's for you, for your own benefit, to bring something more to you and out of you. Count for yourselves from the day after the rest day, day after the Sabbath, from the day that you bring the Omer offering itself. 7 weeks you're to count, and they shall be complete weeks. Okay? 7 complete weeks. And then on the next day, it's Pentecost or Shavuot. And again, Pentecost is the Greek version of Shavuot. It's what the Jews who translated the Bible into Greek translated this holiday as. What we call weeks, Shavuot, they call Pentecost Day because it's 50 days. During this time period, this period of in-between that AC mentioned, from Passover to Shavuot, when we get the Torah, or in the New Testament paradigm, when the Holy Spirit came down and it was a new type of revelation in Acts chapter 2. The question is, why are we counting for ourselves and linking these two holidays, Exodus from oppression to receiving of holy wisdom at Mount Sinai, or in Acts 2, the receiving of that holy form of wisdom? Why are we counting lochem for ourselves, for yourself? The rabbis teach that this is a time period. The Omer is a measurement. It's a measured offering. What the rabbis are saying, I think, is that this is a time period that we count for ourselves by measuring where we are in our sacred lives. How am I living? How am I serving? How am I loving? How am I forgiving? How am I slow to anger? How am I bringing healing? That's great. You got out of Egypt. You're not under oppression. But now what? Now this period of 50 days is a time period, and we have rituals that we engage in every day. Each day we refine a different aspect of our person, of our being, so that we can live on a greater plane, a more holy plane. And the reason we need to do that is because the rabbis teach that in order to be a fit vessel to receive holy wisdom, what we call, again, the receiving of the 10 Commandments or of the Torah on Mount Sinai, in order to receive that holy wisdom, we have to be a vessel that can receive. And if we're filled with anger and bearing grudges, and if we don't have mercy on others, and if we're not welcoming to others, and if we're not forgiving, holiness, goodness, light, and beauty can't dwell. That's like a no vacancy sign for these wonderful human ideals or holy ideals that we all recognize the beauty of. We need to take that time to reflect, to refine. It is a period of refining daily. It's a meditation that some take many, many hours in the mystical world, trying to refine their being, their person, so they can receive more holy light because they're living with greater light and with greater love. That's this period that we are in. Let's see. Sadly, many just simply go through the rituals, but it's a beautiful practice, a beautiful meditation to take with you. It's a 49-day period that if you go through, it won't be the same you that comes out. Just because of time, I'm going to, 5, 6 more minutes, we discussed the idea of tribes. Months have names that are significant and guide us in life. They have numbers. They have now, we'll discuss a tribe. Every month has a tribe associated with it. Again, this is all rabbinic, comes from the mystics. The tribe of last month's tribe was Yehuda, the month of Nisan, our first month. This month is Yissachar, or Issachar, I guess you would say in English. Yissachar is a unique character. Have you ever met anybody named Issachar? I haven't. Actually, I've known of a few. One, we have a great sage who's he names his work B'nai Yisachar. He actually puts the other S in the name. There's 2 S's, but usually we pronounce it Yisachar. But I'm going to combine things here with Yisachar. What we associate with Yisachar is there's a verse in Genesis 49 when Jacob is giving blessings to all of his children. It says Yisachar Chamor Garam, that Issachar is a strong-boned donkey. It's not exactly what the King James says, but I said that once in a church and didn't go over well. So it's a strong-boned donkey. And in fact, that was my daughter's bat mitzvah portion, this reading. So she got to read that in the synagogue. And she said it was her favorite verse. Yisachar is a strong-boned donkey. But the idea here of Yisachar, what does Yisachar teach us? Yisachar teaches us a few things. First of all, strength, strong-boned. Our bones are our essence, our being, metaphorically. To be on a path that is living a life of goodness, to bring people together, to be forgiving, to be slow to anger, to bring radiance. That ain't easy. It takes real strength, especially in the face of what life can often be and what life often brings us. Can we continue in the way of goodness and light when life breaks us? That's what this strong-boned donkey, I think, is implying for us. Our bones are strong. We can bear the burdens. We can bear the indignation. We can bear the injustice. Donkeys bear burdens. We can still bring light and see each other's. Yes, that's how you spell it in Yisachar. Yes. We can still bear our burdens with grace, with light, with goodness, slow to anger, bringing healing, bringing inclusion, even when others aren't seeking to be inclusive. We can still be inclusive. As the Dalai Lama said, my religion is kindness. It's a holy man right there. And he has a lot to be angry for, but he's a kind man, he's a loving man. He didn't turn into a person of anger in spite of the injustices that are being perpetrated against his people. He's trying to do it with grace and light and love. Yisachar also represents Torah, holy wisdom in Jewish thought. We need a sacred practice, or we need a wisdom practice. I repeat, not sacred, a wisdom practice. If that takes you down the road of sacred texts and holy encounter with the divine, fine. But if it's a more humanistic outlook that you have, that's also wisdom. So we have to labor like the donkey, we have to labor in Torah. We have to work in Torah, because wisdom is what ultimately will help us come back to a place of radiance, to a place of light, to a place of healing, to a place of inclusion. But it's something we have to labor in, and it takes strength. The flag, I said every month also has a flag associated with it, the banners that we used to walk with. Flags have two things on them. They have color and they have an emblem. The emblem of the flag of Issachar, is the sun and the moon. And the color, interestingly, is a very, very dark blue, almost black. So what, again, that's a description. But how can that be wisdom for us in life for this month? How can I live with this banner? What is this banner? The word banner in Hebrew has to do also with raising up. How can this banner cause me to lift up, to raise up, to rise to something greater? The sun and the moon are in the heavens. And what I think it's saying by having this as the banner for Yisachar and the relevance for us, I think it's saying, don't lose sight of the heavenly. It may be dark, which is the color. It's a very, very dark blue, almost black. Life may seem very dark. I don't see a way out. But I still have that reminder that there is light, radiant light, the sun, but also the moon, which sometimes is a new moon and we can't see it. But that will come back. It will become full again. The darkness, that dark blue, when life is dark blue, when we have the blues, very dark blues, a reminder that light is still available is what's going to get us through. Or it's what we can bring to another to help get them through their blues, their dark periods, right? I think it's a beautiful symbol. And again, this is a banner that we need to carry and bear with us always. But we practice it now. We take time daily to reflect on these different aspects of the meanings of this month to help us make this a part of our being. I'll give you just two more real quick. The letter, every month has a letter. The letter for this month is Vav, the sixth letter of the alphabet. That letter is also a word. And it means biblically in the temple, in the Mishkan, in the tabernacle, it was the hooks, because it means a hook. It means literally it's the hooks, and it's always in the plural. It's never singular. It's either in the construct, hooks of, or it's in the plural, sometimes hooks, but sometimes it's their hooks. But it's always plural. Okay, great. It's the sixth letter of the alphabet, which would be A, B, C, D, E, F. It would be an F. What does an F have as far as relevance for life? Nothing. But in Judaism, this hook, this Vav, the letter of this month, that we are to practice, to bring into our lives. We are to bring the Vav into life because it means, what are you connected to? And it's not singular in the Bible. The 13 or 14 times that it's used, it's always plural. What are your connections in life? So often in life, we are disconnected, not just from others, but from ourselves. And if you have an orientation that includes the divine, we're not connected to the ground of being, to the ground and the grandeur of existence, or just the grandeur of humanity's existence. We need connections in life, or life is going to turn very dark, like the color of the flag. We need connections. We need hooks that link us up with something greater, with something more, with something other. And we need to help others connect with us. And in grammar, that letter vav, that means a hook, in grammar, it is an and. It's the word and. It also means or, it also means but, it means a lot of things. But in grammatical terms, it is a conjunction, which means to join. So Shemaim va'aretz, heaven and va'aretz, heaven and earth. It is joining. It has other functions, but I'm focusing on the connection now. Find ways of making the letter vav a practice in life, meaning make it a way of connecting to others, to bringing others together into the community. Connect. This month is about deep connection, and I emphasize deep connection because the character trait, every month has a grand character trait that it's trying to have us develop. The character trait of this month, again, these are all according to the mystics. The character trait of this month is deep thought. That's why I went from deep connection to deep thought. Deep reflection. We don't think deeply. And if we don't think deeply, we're not going to live deeply. We're not going to love deeply. We're not going to connect deeply. We're not going to bring together others because we see the deep connection with each other. Depth is the place that we have to come from. In Psalm 42, it speaks of Tahaim el Tahaim Kaire, deep calls unto deep. We've got to come from a place of depth, of authentic, genuine depth, of place, of being, of person. Here is who I am. Yes, that's not so great. This is who I am or what I've become. But I can uncover the deeper layers of who I am so I can become something more, something better for myself and for this world. And I think that's a good, there's a few more things, areas that the mystics bring down as far as what months are there to help us become. But if you want to read it, just read. Just I'll leave you with the verse. It has to do with Jeremiah. I mean, it's Jeremiah chapter 9. In English, it's verse 24, but in Hebrew, it's verse 23. And it speaks of the idea of glory and knowledge. Okay, the one who glories or brings praise and has knowledge of the divine. And it asks a few verses before that, who is wise? So it's about wisdom too. But there's a few different ways of translating it that some aren't so wonderful. They don't. It speaks of boasting. It's not really boasting. It's more this idea of praise. So the verse that you want to live with this week is, am I bringing praise or am I bringing condemnation and criticism and judgment? What a beautiful verse to live with for this month that, again, will shape us for the rest of the months of the year. If I practice a way of praise and honor and glory, I'm going to be less condemning, less judgmental, less mocking. even if the person dramatically differs in my ideology. So with that, I leave, if anybody wants to leave us with some closing thoughts, or if AC, if you want to sing us out with your glorious, wonderful voice, sing us out. We'd love that too, but I'm grateful you all came. I hope my thoughts were in some way instructive, that instruct us to live life, to live our days and our months with more reflection, with more radiance, with more inclusion as our vision, with more healing, and with more glory, and with more connection, because we need it. We need it. This world needs it. And we can be the person who brings much of that light and beauty and goodness back to our world. So I'm grateful you're all here.
Amen. Maybe so.
And we'll see you all next month.
תודה רבה.
Gracias.
רבה.
Gracias.